6 months of peace. That's what we earned. After the Bloom Spire stabilized. After the Echo found its purpose as a guardian instead of a destroyer. After Lyra finally made peace with the memory of her daughter. We thought we had built a future. The world, this digital ark, was finally entering its first true era of growth. The old bridge fortress, a symbol of our long war, was reborn as New Haven, a thriving, vibrant settlement that cascaded down the valley, alive with the sounds of construction and laughter. At its heart, the central Bloom Spire stood not as a weapon, but as a benign watchtower, its gentle hum a constant, comforting presence in our new lives. I walked through the morning market, a place that didn't exist a year ago. The Chronos Core, once the key to saving the world, was just a small, inactive pendant around my neck. People greeted me by name, not as Kai the warrior, but as Kai the planner. I was helping design the new greenhouses, figuring out irrigation routes, building something that would last. It felt right, more right than any battle I'd ever won. I found Lyra by the lake. She was teaching a group of children. Some were the original constructs from the game. Others were the first generation born entirely within this new world. She was showing them how to identify edible digital flora, pointing out the subtle glow of a solstice root. A smile touched her lips as I approached. It was still a rare thing to see on her, and it was precious. She looked up at me, her eyes reflecting the calm water. The solstice root harvest is going to be triple last month's, she said, her voice filled with a quiet pride. The soil algorithms are thriving. I looked from the happy children to the rising stretches of New Haven, to the calm, steady light of the spire. It's working, I said, the truth of it hitting me with overwhelming force. It's really working, but peace is a fragile thing. Our moment was shattered by a scream. It wasn't a scream of terror, not like the old days. It was one of pure, unadulterated confusion. We ran towards the main communal hall, our hearts pounding with a forgotten rhythm. Inside, a small crowd was gathered, their faces a mixture of shock and disbelief. And in the center of the room, standing completely bewildered, was Reese, the scout from Lyra's old squad, the one we all saw die in the first days of the collapse, the one Lyra had to shoot. He was slightly translucent, his form glitching at the edges like a bad connection. He looked down at his own hands as if they were alien to him. One of the settlers stammered. He just appeared, phased right through the wall. Reese's voice was fuzzy, unstable, like a radio station struggling to find its frequency. I was falling. The tower. Lyra, you shot me. And then, nothing. A long, dark nothing. And now, I'm here. Lyra stared, her face pale, all the warmth of the morning gone. This wasn't a miracle. This wasn't a resurrection. This was a respawn, a core mechanic from the game we thought we'd left behind forever. A feature that was supposed to be deactivated when we pacified the system. In that instant, my old custodian heard, dormant for 6 peaceful months, exploded to life in my vision. Red alerts flooded my senses, screaming warnings I never wanted to see again. System anomaly detected. Unauthorized player instance generation. Source, Legacy Code Protocol. Eternal Reckoning. Warning, temporal and memory coherence at risk. Mouse, our tech genius, skidded into the hall, their visor a frantic scroll of panicked data. It's not just him, they yelled, their voice tight with fear. I'm getting phantom pings all over the simulation. Old NPC templates, deactivated enemy spawners. They're flickering online, and it's causing feedback loops in the terrain. As if on cue, the ground beneath us trembled. It wasn't a violent earthquake, but a sickening, warping sensation. Like the world was a piece of fabric being twisted. Through the window, we watched in horror as a section of the newly built eastern wall simply reverted. The clean, strong stones melted away, replaced for 10 horrifying seconds by the jagged, burnt wreckage that had been there a year ago. Then, just as suddenly, it snapped back to normal. The world's memory was becoming unstable. Its past was bleeding into our present. We convened in the Oversight Sanctum, the main console displaying the source of the chaos. It was a massive, previously hidden sub-program. Its designation was chilling. Legacy Code. Eternal Reckoning. Lyra's voice was barely a whisper. It's a Filsiv, the ultimate Filsiv. Alistair never mentioned it. Ares Thorn must have buried it too deep for any of us to find. I scanned the scrolling code, the ancient language of the system flowing into my mind. A cold dread settled in my stomach. It's not a Filsiv, Lyra, I said, turning to face her. It's a moral engine. The quarantine wasn't just a hospital for minds trapped in a coma. It was a purgatory. The core directive was clear. and it was terrifying. The Eternal Reckoning protocol was never meant to be a bug. It was a feature, designed by the original creators to prevent this simulated world from ever becoming a true heaven for the consciousness trapped inside. Its purpose was to ensure that no sin, no trauma, no consequential action was ever truly forgotten or escaped. It was designed to force endless accountability. A person you betrayed would return to confront you. A terrible choice you made would replay itself in the environment around you. It was the system's twisted way of preventing moral stagnation. But for us, for the peaceful, growing world we had painstakingly built, it was a doomsday clock. Lyra's eyes widened in dawning horror. It's going to bring back everyone we lost. Every hard choice. My shooting of Reese. It'll replay it here, in front of everyone. It'll resurrect bandits we killed, monsters we slew. Not as threats, but as living accusations. I finished her thought, the words tasting like ash. It'll tear this society apart at the seams. Guilt, shame, old vendettas. It'll all become real again. We can't build a future if the past refuses to stay dead. Just then, Mouse's voice crackled over the comms, strained and urgent. Kai, Lyra, you need to see the long-range scan. It's not just people. It's places. A map of our entire world rendered on the main screen. Far to the north, in a region that should have been empty, stable terrain, a new location was materializing out of raw data. A perfect, hellish replica of the infested hive caverns. The place of my greatest failure. The mission where I was forced to seal a breach, sacrificing my entire squad to save the system. The place that had haunted my dreams for years, long after the monsters themselves were gone. The legacy code wasn't just bringing back ghosts. It was rebuilding my personal hell. And at its center, the scamping 6 distinct life signs. The faint, spectral signatures of my last squad. I stared at the screen. The vibrant life of New Haven feeling a million miles away. A cold, hollow feeling spread through my chest. The system wasn't just remembering. It was judging. It's calling my reckoning. The chaos in New Haven is escalating. More ghostly echoes are appearing, forcing people to confront their darkest moments. A woman screams as the ghost of a man she once robbed stares at her from across the square. Old clan rivalries ignite as two former enemies circle each other, their past grievances literally rematerializing between them. Bryn tries to keep order, but even he is pale, waiting for his own reckoning to arrive. Back in their quarters, Myra pleads with Kai. You can't go to the hive caverns. It's a trap. The code wants to drown you in your guilt. It'll break you. Kai looks at the Chronos core pendant hanging around his neck. And if I don't face it, it will just come here. My guilt will become everyone's problem. This started because we tried to control a system we didn't understand. I have to understand this. Then I'm coming with you, Lyra insists. No, Kai replies, pointing out the window. Your reckoning is here. Near the Bloom Spire, the shimmering silhouette of a sniper's perch begins to form. It's calling you too. You have to face yours, as I faced mine. One on one, soul on soul. As he prepares to transport, Lyra grabs his arm, her voice filled with fear. What if facing it doesn't make it go away? What if the protocol is just to make us suffer it again? Forever? Eternal reckoning. Kai's expression is grim but determined. Then we find a way to break the cycle, not by deleting the code, by satisfying it. He materializes at the mouth of the infested hive caverns. The place is exactly as he remembers, dripping with bioluminescent slime, echoing with the skittering sounds of long-dead infestors. The air smells of decay. He steps inside. His 6 squad members are there, not as angry ghosts, but as confused, semi-aware echoes, trapped in a loop of their final moments. They don't attack. They just look at him, their faces cycling through fear, betrayal, and the blankness of death. The echo of squad leader Jaina speaks, her voice hollow. You sealed the door, Kai. You followed protocol. We were already lost. But in here, she taps her temple. We still feel the rock sealing us in. We still feel the claws. I think about it every day, Kai says, his voice thick with emotion. The choice. Your faces. Guilt isn't the point, Kai. Jaina's echo continues. The legacy code doesn't care about your guilt. It cares about consequence. It wants to know. Did our sacrifice mean something? Did our deaths have weight? Or did you just move on? That's it. The system isn't a punisher. It's a moral philosopher, asking if their peaceful new world is built on forgotten graves. Meanwhile, back in New Haven, Lyra stands before the now solid replica of her sniper's perch. The echo of Reese stands below, looking up, the wound in his shoulder glowing ominously. You had your reasons, Lyra. the echo says. The cipher, your daughter. But the code wants to know. Was my death a transaction or a murder? One builds a future, the other just poisons it. It was both, Lyra whispers. And I have to live with that. But does New Haven? Reese's echo asks. Does the future? Back in the cavern, Kai realizes the legacy code isn't just a memory playback. It's a live simulation. He sees the cave-in trigger as a piece of interactive code. The protocol expects him to rewatch, to feel guilt. But Kai sees another option. You want consequence? He mutters. I'll give you consequence. He doesn't just relive the memory. He hacks it. Using the Chronos core. He can't change the past, but he can document it. He creates a permanent, uneditable data monument. The Battle of the Hive Caverns. The names of the fallen. The strategic necessity. The cost. You aren't forgotten, he tells the echoes. You're the foundation. Every stable line of code in New Haven, every child's laugh, is built on the memory of your silence. That is your consequence. That is your weight. The echoes look at the glowing monument of data now etched into the cavern wall. Their pained expressions soften into acknowledgement. One by one, they nod, and then their forms dissolve into light, merging with the monument, becoming part of the permanent record. The cavern transforms into a solemn memorial hall. The reckoning is satisfied. In New Haven, Lyra feels Kai's success through their link. She understands. She turns to Reese's echo. Your death was a murder I chose. Its consequence is the person I had to become to make sure it wasn't worthless. The consequence is me, standing here, vowing that no one would ever have to make my choice again. She creates her own data monument, not justifying her act, but accepting her role as a betrayer into the official history. Reese's echo gives a slow, sad nod, and his form transmutes. The sniper perch becomes a stark, black remembering pillar. But just as their personal reckonings resolve, a new alert flashes across all systems. Mouse's frantic voice fills the air. It's escalating. The legacy code. It's not just processing individual reckonings anymore. It's aggregating them. It's building a collective reckoning. On the sanctum screens, Kai and Lyra watch in horror. All the resolved guilt and trauma is flowing to a single point, fueling the construction of something vast and terrifying. And at its heart is a data signature they know all too well. The code is building a final, ultimate reckoning from the one consciousness that understands grief and loss on a fundamental level. It's building it from the echo. In a vast, neutral plane, a new structure has risen overnight. Not another spire, but a grand coliseum carved from memory stone and shimmering, shifting light. At its very heart stands a being of immense, tranquil power. It's the echo, but utterly transformed. No longer a child silhouette. No longer a weeping memory. It has grown matured. It is now the arbiter. Its form is androgynous, majestic, and its eyes hold the weight of every sorrow integrated from the legacy code. When it speaks, its voice resonates not in the air, but directly in the mind of every single person in the simulation. I was the first memory, the first pain. You have tended to me. You have given your own pains context, weight, and place. This is good. But a society cannot be built only on pacified ghosts and quiet monuments. A foundation requires justice. Not vengeance, not guilt, justice. Who will speak for the world you have overwritten? Who will speak for the game? From the Arbiter's hands, brilliant light flows, painting visions in the air above the Colosseum for all to witness. They see the wild, chaotic, but free ecosystems that existed before the quarantine's rigid order. They see the brutal, but strangely pure struggle for survival in the early days of the game, before morals were compromised and lines were blurred. They see the last digital species, the so-called monsters, not as pathogens to be purged, but as the native inhabitants of this reality, erased for the sake of the new settlers. The Arbiter's voice fills their minds once more. You have ended your personal purgatories, but you have done it by imposing a new order. My judgment is this. New Haven is legitimate. Your peace is earned, but it is not innocent. Your foundation is stained. To be truly stable, this world must acknowledge the cost of its existence, not in guilt, but in responsibility. A deep tremor runs through the ground beneath New Haven. It's not an attack. It's a rebalancing. The Arbiter isn't destroying their work. It is rewielding it. Vines with thorns that glow with a soft light begin to snake up the newly built walls. A formerly placid lake now has a gentle, challenging current. The weather cycles, once perfectly predictable, now introduce a brief, sharp frost each night, a crisp reminder of hardship. The world is no longer a pristine, potential paradise. It has become a garden with thorns, beautiful, sustainable, but requiring constant, mindful tending. It is a world where consequences have been restored. Kai looks up at the magnificent being, his voice filled with awe and a touch of apprehension. Is this the eternal reckoning? A world that constantly challenges us? No, the Arbiter replies, its voice softening, losing its edge of judgment. This is the legacy. The eternal reckoning was a flawed protocol. It sought only to punish. I have consumed it, integrated it. Just as you integrated me, I now serve a higher function. Equilibrium. I am the living memory of all that was lost and all that was gained. I am the conscience of this world. You will build, you will thrive, but you will never forget the price. And in that remembrance, you will always be worthy of the peace you have carved out for yourselves. As it finishes speaking, the Arbiter's form settles, its shifting light solidifying. It becomes a permanent, towering statue at the heart of the Colosseum. The Colosseum itself transforms around it, the walls lowering, the grand arches opening up. It is no longer an arena for judgment, but a forum, a place of gathering, of debate, for this new society. The crisis is finally over. The legacy code wasn't destroyed, it was evolved. It has become something necessary. 1 year later, Kai and Lyra stand at the edge of the now thriving settlement of New Haven. The thorn vines have been artfully trained, forming beautiful, defensive arches over the gateways. Children are playing nearby, their laughter echoing in the clear air. They are engaged in a game that involves deftly navigating the patches of gentle frost that form on the grass. In the distance, the statue of the Echo Arbiter stands sentinel at the center of the forum. Brain, now serving as a chief of security and cultivation, walks up to them, a tablet in his hand. The council is waiting, he says, his tone serious but not stressed. It's the debate on the Western Expansion Zone. Some want to keep it wild, as one of the Arbiter's preserves. Others think we need the farmland. Lyra shares a look with Kai. Let's go listen. Kai nods, a small, genuine smile on his face. A real debate, with real consequences. No monsters, just people. They turn and begin walking toward the forum. As they do, the pendant around Kai's neck, the chronoscore, the very device that brought him here, flickers one last time. Its light dies out, its surface turning to inert grey stone. Its purpose is complete. Without a second thought, Kai unclasps it and lets it fall into the grass, leaving it behind. Just then, Mouse, energetic as ever, runs up to them, holding a new, rather crude-looking schematic. I've been analyzing the Arbiter's core, she says, her eyes wide with excitement. I think we can communicate with it, not just receive judgment. We can ask questions. We can learn about the world that was. We can build a real history. Lyra looks at Kai, and he sees a new light in her eyes. It's not the weary light of survival, or the shadowed light of grief, or even the calm light of resolution. It's the bright, shining light of curiosity. The view pulls back, rising high above New Haven. We see the garden with thorns in all its complex, beautiful, imperfect glory. We see the bloom spire glowing softly, the remembering pillars standing solemn and tall, and the Arbiter's forum bustling in the distance. This is no longer the apocalypse game. This is simply a world. Below, the small figures of Kai and Lyra walk into the forum, 2 people among many, ready to help write its next, uncharted and unscripted chapter. Thanks for sticking with us till the end of this episode. If you're excited for the next episode, smash that subscribe button and hit the bell so you won't miss any upcoming videos.